Hi, I'm Kevin Williams of Survival Skills Rider Training, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how I've adapted my training courses to deal with the coronavirus pandemic, because extraordinary times require extraordinary training. Survival Skills is one of the longest established independent post-test rider training schools in the UK. I first set up Survival Skills with the goal of teaching not just better riding skills, but to help riders gain a better understanding of how, where, and why things go wrong on two wheels as long ago as 1997. My long experience before that as a motorcycle courier taught me that predicting where mistakes happen is absolutely crucial to our safety. And it doesn't matter whether it's our mistakes or it's somebody else's mistakes, it really is the way to avoid crashing. So it's not just the content of the courses that's always been innovative either. Back in 1997, I was using a radio link for post-test training long before most other trainers. I was also an early adopter of the internet. I've been posting online since 1994. I've used online videos as part of my training courses to help people understand the ideas and the techniques. I've delivered those before the training course started to give them an idea of what would be covered during the coaching sessions. I've always provided a comprehensive debrief at the end of the session, but it's always been an outline for future development, not just a review of the day itself. I'm a BTEC holder in post-test training. I've got an NVQ in online education, and I was formerly a DSA approved CBT and direct access instructor too. My expertise has been recognized by a number of different organizations within motorcycling. I write the safety column for the Motorcycle Action Group, and I have done since 2002. I've worked with organisations as different as Somerset Road Safety Partnership, the UK Fire Service's Biker Down courses. I've worked with the New Zealand Transport Agency's Shiny Side Up Rider Safety Initiative over in New Zealand in 2018, 2019. And last year, I spent time working with the Transport Research Laboratory as a consultant in a study into rider training initiatives. So since lockdown, when my training went on hold in late March, I've worked hard to find innovative ways to bring it back to you. I've looked at bringing it back online as an e-course, and you can find that if you look at my Ko-fi page. I'll give you the details for that in a minute. And now we are coming out of lockdown into a somewhat more eased environment with fewer restrictions, then I want to bring my practical training back to you and at the same time minimize the risk to you, the trainee, and to myself as your riding coach. Fairly obviously, we are socially distanced when we're riding the motorcycles, but of course we would spend considerable amount of time off the bikes talking about motorcycling as part of the session. Normally we would meet before the course actually started, and we have a long briefing over what we were going to do and take some theory time to talk about what would I want to get over in the first part of the course, and give you a break as well from riding to meet me. So that would be the first session face to face. We'd stop mid-course, and again we would debrief on the morning's work, and we would prepare ourselves for the afternoon work, as well as just taking a break from riding for to relax. And then we'd finish the session off with a debrief right at the end to explain what had happened, how it had gone, and to give you some ideas about what we wanted to do next. So as I say, there'd be considerable amount of time actually spent off the bikes talking. And the problem is that these chats would generally take place in environments like cafes and service areas. And frankly, I think it's wise for us both to avoid meeting in places like that as much as we possibly can for the foreseeable future. So to allow us to have these discussions, but without needing to stop in something like a cafe or a service area where there are a lot of people walking backwards and forwards, and to avoid having to stand in the rain and do it outside in the open air, what I'm doing is I'm maximizing the opportunity to work from home by moving these sessions online. Now, I've had questions about how much anybody can expect to learn from online training. After all, biking's a practical activity, isn't it? So I can understand that people would have doubts about this. But the answer is, if you can learn from watching a video online, if you can learn from watching a TV program, if you can learn from reading a book, you can learn from a remote theory session. It's not the distance between us that matters, it's the content and the way that content is presented to you to take in. So first things first, Zoom allows us to screen share. And one of the things that does is it allows me to do things like this. It allows me to put up a whiteboard on screen and then to use that whiteboard to give you some information via a whiteboard. Doesn't matter what it is. I might be drawing diagrams, but whatever they are, I can talk and draw you a diagram about what I'm doing, just as if I was using a piece of paper and a pen in front of you at a cafe. So I can show you videos, I can share photographs with you. So I can prepare material ready to deliver particular parts of the training online. How's it being received so far? Because I have actually run several courses where I've been working the online presentations in, and so far feedback has actually been excellent. One comment that was made on the debrief in particular was that it was far superior to the ones that he'd experienced on previous training sessions, which were delivered at the roadside at the end of the course. My trainee said that the big pluses of doing it online the day after was that he wasn't actually tired. He wasn't trying to hear me over the background noise of traffic. There weren't any distractions. He was focused entirely on what I was saying to him and what he wanted to say to me. But he's also had time to think about what we'd done on the training session. And that had given him time to absorb that information, process it, and come up with some questions that he wanted to ask. I wasn't able to answer those questions in the kind of detail he was looking for because neither of us were in a rush to get away. We had plenty of time to sit there and do our debrief as it was on Zoom. And as a result, the discussion ranged quite a lot further than it would otherwise have done. The questions he asked were quite far-reaching, and the answers that I gave him took us off at some tangents. So he said it was not only extremely useful, but he found that he really did get a lot out of it. So don't worry, you can learn biking online. You can learn from a Zoom conference. If you've ever learned anything, as I say, from watching a video or reading a book, you really shouldn't have any worries about learning from an online briefing. Okay, so how will these work? How will they dovetail into the training that I would normally do? Well, before we kick off on any practical training, you'll have an opportunity to watch a pre-ride briefing. Now, I've recorded this as a video, so I don't forget anything, and it'll explain precisely how the training will be conducted out on the road. It includes things like how the radio works and what to do should we get separated on the road. That video lasts about 30 minutes, and you can watch it whenever you like, but ideally fairly soon before the course would be best. We'll also have a pre-ride online meeting. Now, this will give you the chance to discuss what you want to get out of the day from me. And it'll give you the chance to ask me some questions about the course. Having achieved that, having got an idea of what you want from the course, then I will introduce some theory, which will cover the work that we're going to do later out on the road, on the practical on-road session. So for a one-day training course, this pre-ride session will last around 45 to 60 minutes. If you book a 2-day course or a 3-day course, I'm still calling them 2 and 3-day courses for ease, there'll be an extra 45 to 60 minute theory session for each of the extra days. So if you booked a 2-day course, for example, there would then be 2 of these online briefing sessions. Okay, at the end of the session on road, then you will get a debriefing. And again, it will last something between 45 minutes and 60 minutes. The quickest one I've done was just a little bit under 45 minutes, about 40 minutes. And the longest one actually lasted something over the hour. So we are flexible on that. And it really depends on what we've done over the course of the session and what you want to talk about. Now, what about on road? Well, with the briefing and the theory taken off the road and put online, and with the debrief at the end taken off the road and put online, what that means is we trim down the actual content of the day quite significantly. What that means I can do is I can take out the mid-course lunch break. Now, normally when we're riding, we would need a stop on one of my day-long courses simply for you to get your breath back, but also allows me to deliver a bit of extra theory. Now, we won't have the advantage of being able to do that as we're going to run through the practical session in one go, but it does mean what I can do is I can trim the practical on-ride session down to a compacted, a very effective use of time of around about 2 hours. And as I say, that avoids the need for mid-course rest, and hopefully avoids the need for a loo stop as well. So once we meet, we'll be out on the road immediately, covering the elements I've already talked about online. And then when we've finished, we'll go home and we'll talk about the results when we get home. So, okay, how long are you going to have to commit for a course? Well, for a normal one-day course, which I normally say runs between about 5 and 5.5 hours, the total commitment will be between 4 and 5 hours. So not dissimilar, considering we won't be having a lunch break in the middle. Similarly, for a 2-day course, it'll be between 9 and 10 hours, and for a 3-day course, we'll be spending probably something like 14 hours actually in contact time, including our online briefing and our debrief and the actual practical on-road riding. So in that way, I maximize the work from home advice that the government has given us, and I maximize the effectiveness of our on-road contact time whilst still maintaining what I believe to be a very high quality of actual coaching. So I'm confident that the overall learning experience for you as the client remains much the same. And as I say, feedback to date has been pretty effective. If you feel that that 2-hour session is too short, then I'm more than happy to add an additional 2-hour on-road session, but I will make sure that they are held on a different day so that we don't need to stop mid-course for that rest break and end up in a cafe or something somewhere. One other final point I want to make, don't forget we do have the long hours at the moment thanks to the summer days, and it is possible to schedule a 2-hour session in the evening after work for many people. So there we go. That just about sums up everything I wanted to say about the new system that I'm operating for my survival skills training courses. For the foreseeable future, this is how they will run. When we may get back to running a course, what I would say normally. I don't know. It all depends on how the pandemic itself develops and whether or not we actually get on top of this virus in any short order. But my guess is that for this summer, at least, this is how my training courses will operate for the rest of the year. Right, thank you for watching. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, you can address them to me at info@survivalskills.co.uk, and I mentioned my Ko-fi page as well. That's ko.fi.com/survival skills. You can gain a lot more content over there, and of course there's my Facebook page, which is also Survival Skills at Facebook. So have a look at the other content I've got, and you know, if I could see you on a course at some point in the near future, that'd be fantastic. Right, bye for now. Thanks for watching.